Breath is the most powerful tool that you can use to calm your body down, but most people don't do it right. I'm going to show you how to fix that. My name is Deborah Cobb, and I'm an integrative health practitioner as well as a massage therapist and craniosacral therapist. Okay, so go ahead, take a deep breath. Deep inhale in, fill your lungs as much as you can, and then exhale out. So when you did that, I want you to pay attention to what your body does when you take a deep breath in. Do you go up into your chest? You breathe in, it looks like this. Because that is how most people breathe. That's how we see people breathing on the movies. The doctor puts the stethoscope here and says, take a deep breath, and they go, and they lift up through their chest. So if that's you, don't worry, that is super common. Unfortunately, it's doing more harm than good. So when we're breathing this way, we're breathing up into the top part of our lungs, which isn't bad, but it's not utilizing our lungs the way that we're actually meant to. We're meant to breathe deeply into all the lobes of our lungs, which actually go deep down. The reason why our rib cage goes so low, part of the reason, is because of our lungs and wanting to protect our lungs. The other problem with breathing up into the top of your chest is that's how we breathe when we are in a stress state. So by breathing up here, we're actually engaging our sympathetic nervous system instead of our parasympathetic nervous system, which when we're breathing correctly is going to engage that vagus nerve, which helps to put you in that rest and digest state. So what is the correct way to breathe? Instead of breathing vertically, where our body kind of gets taller and our chest moves up, we actually want to breathe horizontally, where our rib cage is allowed to expand and our diaphragm is able to move down. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a little bit. Now, there are a few reasons as to why this happens, why we end up breathing vertically instead of horizontally, because we were designed to breathe horizontally. Our chest should expand fully out. Our diaphragm should move up and down as we breathe. Our diaphragm is the major muscle of respiration. We should be utilizing our diaphragm, and most people's diaphragms don't move hardly at all. And the reasons for this, as I said, there's actually quite a few, and I'm going to recommend you go watch a video. I'm going to link it in the comments that Belisa Vranich did a TED Talk about this subject, and it's phenomenal. Go watch it. She gets into a little bit of her theories as to why this happens and why this is so important. So there are a lot of breathing techniques out there. There's a lot of different ways of counting certain ways and doing it in different positions, and that's great. And I hope that you find one that works well for you. I'm going to be showing quite a few in other videos. But all those techniques are doing you no good if you're not breathing correctly, because you're not able to fully utilize your diaphragm and you're not expanding through your rib cage. You're not getting the benefits that those techniques are meant to be giving you. So how do we fix that? Well, there's two main things that I want to teach you in this video. The first is let your belly go. We all, especially women, tend to suck our belly in and we hold it there all the time. And because of this, when we go to take a deep breath, what happens is the diaphragm should be able to move down and actually push down on your internal organs, your whole digestive system, your everything that's underneath it. And it ends up being kind of like a massage for your whole digestive system and all of your intestines. But if you're holding your belly in, your diaphragm can only move down so far because those organs have nowhere to go. So the first thing that I want you to do when you're taking a deep breath is let that belly go. Allow space for that diaphragm to move down so that you can fully expand your rib cage and allow your lungs to take in as much oxygen as they possibly can. The other reason why this is important is when we are holding our belly in all the time, that also tells our nervous system that we're bracing. if we're walking around all day long holding in our belly, while it can be helpful to do that and important to do that during certain exercises or when you're lifting something heavy or when you need to stabilize your body, staying in that state all the time tells your nervous system we're bracing for an attack, and it makes your nervous system more alert. So this is a great thing to learn how to let go while still holding your body high. And I know that can be hard to do, but it's something to start to consider and think about as you go through the day. Pay attention to what you're doing. Okay, and the second important thing that I want you to know is to expand through your rib cage. Now, again, as I said, the design of our body is for our rib cage to expand out. The way the ribs attach to the spine and attach to the sternum, they are meant to have an expansion and contraction that happens. But if we haven't been breathing that way, then we're probably not really moving through our ribs, maybe even at all. A lot of people that I work with, I go to work on their rib cage and things are just stuck. The fascia is stuck. Things aren't moving because they're not utilizing that with their breath. I will say, as you start this practice that I'm about to show you, if you haven't been breathing that way, it's going to feel uncomfortable. It's not going to feel natural, and it's going to feel like you can't do it. That is very normal. All that means is that hasn't been moving. It doesn't mean that it can't move. This is the beautiful thing about fascia, is our body is adjustable. We can change how we move. We can change the fluidity based on how we're moving. So the more often you do this exercise, even if it's uncomfortable at first, the more fluid you're gonna get in that movement of your rib cage and the easier it's gonna get. Okay, so my favorite exercise to help you to get used to what it feels like, because you can just put your hands on your rib cage and take some deep breaths and notice how that feels. And that can be a great place to start. Take a deep breath when your hands are in your lower part of your rib cage and see how much you're expanding, and really try and push your ribs out into your hands. But this is something that made a huge difference for me. You know, I am someone that was trained and have been trained many times on proper breath, and I thought I was doing pretty good until I tried this. And I realized I actually had a lot of room for improvement, and this has made a huge difference in my breathing exercise. So you want a measuring tape, just a typical measuring tape that sewers will use, and you're gonna put a mark right on the 10 inches, and I'm gonna show you how to do this. Okay, so you're gonna cross the measuring tape around your body from the back, and you're going to have that mark be right where you can see it. You wanna do this in front of a mirror so you can see yourself and see how much expansion is happening. So what I'm looking for is where this matches up with the bottom number. And as I breathe in and breathe out, I want to see how much I can make this move, how big of an expansion I can get from my rib cage. So I'm gonna go ahead and first, I'm gonna demonstrate this, how to do this. I'm gonna breathe out everything from my lungs and then pull this as tight as I can make it. And then as my rib cage expands, I'm going to let this go and see how much expansion I can get. So here's what this looks like.
Your goal in doing this is at least 2 to 3 inches of movement in the rib cage. And if you're not able to do that at first, that's okay. You have something to work towards. But part of the reason why you're doing this in front of the mirror, using the tape, is so that you can measure and keep track and have a goal to work towards.
So you see how much movement I'm getting there? And again, you're watching for that mark. As long as you put it on the 10, the rest of the numbers don't really matter. You're just seeing how much space you can get, how much movement you can get in your rib cage. And again, this might feel awkward at first. Go really slow if you try this. Only do a few deep breaths. You don't want to make yourself dizzy. If you start to feel dizzy, stop immediately. Allow your breathing to go back to normal. The point is getting your body used to that expansion, getting that fascia moving and all of that fluid going through your rib cage, allowing that diaphragm to move down. The diaphragm sits right under your rib cage, and as you breathe in, that diaphragm moves down, and then when you exhale, it goes back up. So just start slow with this. Only do a few deep breaths. Make sure you don't get dizzy. If you get dizzy at all, stop immediately and just allow your breath to go back to normal. But start practicing this in front of the mirror. You can try it standing, you can try it sitting down, but really try to engage that rib cage and make sure that diaphragm is moving down as you breathe in. Let the belly go, diaphragm goes down, rib cage goes out. And then when you breathe out, you breathe all of the air out. Make it a complete exhale. It's best to go in through your nose, out through your mouth, but do whatever is comfortable. Right now, I just want you focusing on that movement of the rib cage. So do this at least every day. It'd be great if you could practice it 2-3 times a day. Start with just 3 to 5 breaths. Get your body used to it, and then maybe work up to like 8 to 10 breaths doing this exercise. And it can make such a huge difference when you're breathing deeply into your rib cage. You're expanding through those lower lobes of your lungs, and that is going to trigger the vagus nerve response, which allows you to rest and digest. So if you're someone who breath has not helped you relax in the past, it's a really good chance the reason is just because you're not engaging with your breath correctly. You're breathing up into your chest, which causes you to feel more stress, instead of doing that slow, steady breath into your rib cage. My final recommendation is to try to have your breath, your exhale specifically, be longer than your inhale. When our inhale is really intense and fast and short, that is what triggers that sympathetic nervous response, because that's what we do when we need to get away. We need to fight or flight, fight or get away. Whereas when our exhale is longer than our inhale, that's actually a sign to our nervous system that I'm really safe right now, I'm comfortable, I can relax. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and let me know if you tried this. It has made such a huge difference for me, and so I hope that it will do the same for you. And we will see you in the next video.